Live from Chicago, this is News 3 Now's special coverage of the Democratic National Convention.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Live at 4 from Chicago. It is the first day of the Democratic National Convention.
Yeah, here we are for the next 4 days. Susan and I will be here reporting inside the United Center, and we are on Media Row, where there are just hundreds of journalists from all across the country, and sometimes, they're here covering this big convention, and you can see some of the folks behind us here on Media Row.
This is a busy place. 15,000 members of the media are here. And the more we keep talking, you might see some famous faces. Everybody's kind of looking to see who's here because there's lots of rumors that a lot of famous people are going to be here this week.
We have already seen former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes make his way. So, yeah, you could see all sorts of folks here.
Right. Eric Franke and Charlotte DeLeste are also joining us at the convention this week, and they have another nice view.
Yeah, they're at the Lincoln Park Zoo. Hello, friends. How's it going?
Brady and Susan, good afternoon. And yes, it is a beautiful location. And look who I found on the way to Chicago. We happily welcome back Charlotte DeLeste to our coverage. Great to have you.
Great to be back.
She helped us with the Republican National Convention, of course, as well. She'll be helping us over the course of the next several days here. And we promised this beautiful location at the Lincoln Park Zoo, the Nature Boardwalk here. We're very grateful that they gave us the opportunity to give our viewers this amazing vantage point here on a beautiful day.
Oh my God, the skyline. You just cannot get a better shot of this gorgeous city. And, while we're not really seeing a lot of political type people here, we did get to see a camel and we got to see the zebra on the way in. So to us, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to a great week of coverage here. We'll be anchoring the 5 and 6. We'll be joining this newscast a little bit later, but really trying to provide our viewers with a great storyline of what's happening here at the Democratic National Convention and from great angles in the great city of Chicago. Susan, Brady?
Eric, for those of you who have ever been to the United Center, we're right by the iconic Michael Jordan statue.
Yeah, I keep hearing people say, I'll meet you over by that statue.
Yeah, it's a cool place to be. Thanks, guys.
It's not just Michael Jordan and our 2 sets of anchors. We have reporters on all of our shows. They are live throughout the day and night of the DNC all week. They're covering what's going on the floor of the DNC. Now, security surrounding the area and protests throughout the city.
It's going to be a very busy week. But first, let's start with our political reporter, Will Keneally, who has more on, how things have changed in this unprecedented whirlwind month in American politics. Will?
That's right, Susan and Brady. So we're down here on the floor of the convention center here at the United Center. We're actually just a few minutes ago, I kid you not, over my shoulder was President Joe Biden doing a walkthrough of the podium ahead of his speech tonight. He will be the main headliner, certainly. Now, as you mentioned, a lot has changed in the campaign since he dropped out and Kamala Harris taking over at the top of the ticket. And we spoke with a Wisconsinite Assembly Democratic leader, Greta Neubauer, about how that change has impacted Wisconsin voters.
We have had days where 100 volunteers have gone out from the Democratic Party office in Racine to knock on doors. Since Harris joined the ticket, we're just seeing an incredible level of enthusiasm that I think we haven't seen in quite some time.
Now, again, we're expecting President Joe Biden to headline tonight's night 1 of the DNC. I will continue to provide you live on-the-ground coverage here from the convention floor. But for now, reporting from the United Center, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
Will, thank you very much. Well, thousands gathered just a half-mile away from the United Center today, and a small group of those people were from Madison.
That's right. March on the DNC. It's a coalition of more than 200 different organizations, and it started with a rally around noon today. Our Ellie LaLiberte joins us now with what that means for this convention. Ellie?
Groups from all over the nation are here in Chicago today, calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, among other demands. One Madison protester I caught up with says making the journey here is a historic opportunity, while some delegates are taking notice. Although the protest cannot be seen from inside convention grounds, attendees I talked to today are aware of it. Protesters are marching in part to have their voices heard by the names here inside the DNC. One convention attendee says he's glad people are speaking out.
It needs to be addressed properly. It needs to not be on the back burner. It needs to be a conversation that's open and broad-minded from the perspective of we've got to stop the killing.
I also spoke with a protester from Madison who made the 2-hour drive down to Chicago for today's rally and march. He says the DNC needs to hear the demands of protesters.
Who think that you shouldn't have to keep pleading and begging the DNC to do what's right in this case. So it's a bunch of us just going down to make a difference.
Protests are expected to continue throughout the week during the DNC. Reporting in Chicago, Ellie Liberté, News 3 Now.
All right, Ellie, thank you. Thank you, Ellie. In just over an hour, the speeches will begin here at the United Center to kick off a big night. The first night here at the DNC, Reverend Jesse Jackson will be honored early in the night. Hillary Clinton is expected to take the stage later in the evening, and First Lady Jill Biden, along with President Joe Biden. Of course, this was supposed to be Joe Biden's convention, and he's going to be the final speaker of the night. The optics of that could potentially be quite emotional, as all of the delegates here are excited to thank him for the decision he made that led the Democrats to where they are today.
It'll be interesting to see how he kind of wraps up his legacy, his presidential legacy, but also hands the baton over to Vice President Harris.
Passes the torch.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow, Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz will be in the Badger State, actually. The Harris-Walz campaign will be at Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee. Now, that rally will take place ahead of former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama's speeches in Chicago. That event is free to the public. Wisconsin tomorrow. Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance will also be in Kenosha. Now, he will be holding a press conference on crime and safety at the Kenosha County Courthouse, and that is at about noon. We will have a crew there to bring you everything that happens.
And if you want to stay up to date with everything that is going on this week at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, we'll have a special report, a live special report on channel3000.com that airs tonight at 8 o'clock.
Well, in our weather, a clear and cool start to the work week. Let's go back to Madison and get a look at your first warn forecast with meteorologist Jacob Montesano. How are things over there, Jacob?
Well, it is very nice here in Madison, and I looked at the forecast. It is going to be very nice in Chicago as well, but very quiet really for this entire week. That's what's in the forecast. Right now, 77 in Madison, partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies. Looking across Dane County, much of the county is in the middle to upper 70s at this hour. A few locations across our viewing area are in the lower 80s, but still pretty close to, if not a little bit below average for this time of the year. Now, looking at the cloud track, you can see that there are just a few clouds here and there, and with that obviously comes pretty much no rainfall, although we may see a sprinkle here or there, especially east of Madison during the evening, but otherwise we're going to remain dry, and that's going to be the forecast for much of this week. I'll have more details though on warmer temperatures that are expected by next weekend coming up a bit later.
Thank you, Jacob. And it's pretty nice here in Chicago, too. Beautiful day.
Jacob is a Chicago kid. It's too bad he's not here with us.
We'll look after the city for you, Jacob. Well, coming up on Live at 4, a new Madison bus transit system is set to start up soon.
We'll tell you more about when and what riders can expect. That's coming up when Live at 4 continues on location from the United Center at the Democratic National Convention.
At Harker Heating and Cooling, you can save a whole bunch of money when you buy an air conditioner. You know what's even better? Saving even more money when you purchase an air conditioner and a furnace at the same time.
Harker Heating and Cooling.
I have no idea what I'm doing. My dad has Parkinson's and we need more support. That's why I connected with a Grace. Now I have a partner to help me understand what to expect. Choose more support and less stress with a Grace. Authentic care and connection.
Certain this is gonna work?
Nothing to it.
For Imprint certain?
Certainty matters. 4imprint is your home for promo gear to wow clients and inspire your team. Check out 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain.
Are your home's tired, leaky gutters saying, rain, rain, go away? Is your basement at risk of flooding? To the rescue, Fry Construction and our absolute gutters. Our gutters are custom fabricated on-site for a perfect, seamless fit that's engineered to excel. Wishing for a break in the clouds? How about a sunny 29% discount on our absolute gutter system? To get this great deal, visit fryconstruction.com today to schedule your roof or siding replacement.
Shop, donate, or volunteer today at Dane County Humane Society's thrift store. We've got clothes, home goods, toys, furniture, and more, and every dollar you spend goes to support the comfort and care of animals in need. Visit giveshelter.org/thrift to learn how you can help.
Right now, we're running our 60-60-60 sale. So when you purchase your new concrete coating, you get a $60 Visa gift card plus either 60% off installation or 60-month no interest financing. This is one of our best deals of the year. So visit our website or call the number for your new floor today.
Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime. As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border. As vice president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades. And as president, she will hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
CapTime's Idea Fest is back for a week of powerhouse speakers and sessions exploring important local and national topics. September 15th through the 21st in Madison. This year's guest speakers include Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, former member of Congress Liz Cheney, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, and historian Heather Cox Richardson, along with many others. Idea Fest brings together changemakers to discuss Wisconsin's triumphs and failures to help reach a better state. Purchase your tickets today at captimesideafest.com to join this premier thought festival.
At Harker Heating and Cooling, you can save a whole bunch of money when you buy an air conditioner. You know what's even better? Saving even more money when you purchase an air conditioner and a furnace at the same time.
Harker Heating and Cooling.
Thank you for staying with us and welcome back to Madison. The bus rapid transit system will soon take full effect as Metro Transit released this morning that Route 8 will launch September 22nd. Route 8 can take you all the way from Madison's west side to Sun Prairie. There are 31 stops along this route, all of them that stop at platforms like this one. The new BRT buses have special features like an accessible ramp and smart card reader on board. As these new buses hit the streets, Metro Transit reminds drivers to steer clear from the red bus lanes.
Now, if you're able to avoid the red lanes, we would appreciate it. Once BRT launches, you'll be able to see very easily which one are the bus-only lanes. And we're excited about the bus-only lanes because basically that is going to allow the buses to travel through traffic much more quickly than they do now.
Metro Transit will be switching to online fares where starting September 1st, people can get their smart cards, which will allow them to get on and off the bus quick and easy. By 2025, Metro Transit also plans to incorporate Apple Pay to the buses for quick and fair access. It was a sunny Monday and a relatively cool one. Let's get a look at your first one forecast with meteorologist Jacob Montesano. Jacob.
Thanks, Jalen. That's going to be the story for the work week. We're going to remain sunny and we're going to remain very comfortable with temperatures a little bit below average, but it is going to warm up by the time we get to next weekend. But both during the work week and over the weekend, we are expecting very little precipitation. So looking at that precipitation forecast, and we could see a few sprinkles this evening, but the majority of our area won't see any rainfall at all. Could see some patchy fog later tonight into tomorrow morning, but other than that, we're going to remain clear for the morning into the afternoon. Maybe a few clouds will roll in tomorrow night into Wednesday. Once we get into Wednesday during the day, there will be some showers out in Iowa, but it looks to stay to the southwest of our area. We're going to remain sunny here in southern Wisconsin, and that's going to be the case for Thursday as well. There really is not much else to talk about in terms of precipitation other than that and a very small chance of rain as we head towards the weekend. But it's still several days out. A lot can change between now and then, but for the next 7 days, we are going to remain mainly dry. And looking at the total precipitation forecast, only about 1/10 of an inch at most. And that's the case for Chicago as well for those of you that plan on going to the DNC. Now, as far as temperatures, as I talked about, they are going to be very comfortable for this evening. Definitely get out and enjoy the weather if you can. It's going to be very comfortable, partly sunny, mostly clear after sunset. That's going to continue into the overnight hours. Maybe a little bit chilly once we get past midnight, but otherwise it's going to still be, not too bad. Mostly clear and cool, lows in the lower 50s for tonight. And then for tomorrow, we're going to continue to see the temperatures drop a little bit. We'll have highs only in the 70s with partly partly sunny to mostly sunny skies, and 70s are going to continue in the forecast for the rest of the work week. Now, it does look like tomorrow will be the coolest day this week with middle to lower 70s, and then a little bit of an increase for Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, but still expecting to be at worst near average. But once we get into the weekend, notice those temperatures are going to warm up, but the precipitation chances are only going to increase by about 10%. Will be about a 20% chance of precipitation. So if it does rain over the weekend, it will likely be very brief and not very heavy, but the temperatures are going to be warm nonetheless, and it will be a bit humid. Now, it does look like those temperatures are going to slowly drop as we head towards next work weekend. That may continue towards Labor Day, which is the following weekend, but at this point in time, it looks like our next best chance of rain will be Thursday of next week, but a lot can change between now and then as that's still 10 days out. Overall, we are expecting very dry weather with comfortable temperatures this week and warmer temperatures for the weekend and the early portion of next week.
All right, sounds good, Jacob. Thank you. Next on Live at 4, we head back to Chicago, where the first day of the Democratic National Convention is underway. We'll have the latest on a new CBS poll, what it is showing about the Democratic ticket, next at 4.
Before she was the most liberal U.S. senator, Kamala Harris was the liberal San Francisco prosecutor, the most progressive in all of California. She let an MS-13 gang member go, who then murdered a father and his 2 sons. She agreed to release another felon, who then committed murder. And Kamala even protected illegal alien drug dealers so they could escape deportation. Kamala Harris, a dangerous San Francisco liberal. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
With Sweeto Metal Roofing, you get quality metal roofs installed by the best in the business. A metal roof means no fading, no storm repairs, true sustainability, and lower energy bills.
Sweeto Metal Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
Discover more ways to save on appliances at our Brothers Main bargain rooms. Get discounts on top brand closeouts, returns, and scratch and dents. Minor dings, major savings. Plus, you can take your purchase home today. Feel like family. Brothers Main.
Yeah, so
choosing to celebrate the special moments. For those recovering from stroke, injury, or illness, choosing Encompass Health for inpatient rehabilitation may just be their most important choice.
When a crane collapsed during construction of a Major League sports stadium, 3 workers lost their lives. Their widows called us. When maintenance workers were permanently injured by an industrial accident at a public utilities power plant, the 7 injured workers called us. When a factory exploded, injuring dozens of workers, 18 victims, including all 3 families of men who lost their lives, called us. Because Wisconsinites know who to call when it's a must-win scenario. They call Habish, Habish & Rotier. National reputation, hometown service.
Hanson's windows, roofing, siding, gutters, bathtubs, and showers are guaranteed. Get 50% off installation or enjoy no interest and no payments for 1 year.
Call 1-800-Hansons. Get it done.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
The alarming spike in inflation soaring to its highest level in nearly 40 years.
That is called Bidenomics.
Gas prices rose again today, reaching a new all-time high.
We're still dealing with inflation, and we've got super high interest rates at the same time.
Bidenomics is working.
2/3 of Americans are just struggling to make ends meet.
And this comes after Friday's jobs report showing a spike in unemployment.
And we are very proud of Bidenomics.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, as Democrats gather in Chicago for the DNC, a new CBS News poll finds the gender gap, economy, and renewed enthusiasm is making for a tight race between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump.
Just a few moments ago, Brady and I spoke with the Director of Elections and Polling at CBS News, Anthony Salvanto, and he broke down some of the latest numbers for us. A month ago, President Biden was trailing Donald Trump in the battleground states. Where does the race stand today?
Hey, Susan. Hey, Brady. It is very different
from the way it was when Joe Biden was the likely Democratic nominee. So here we have nationally Harris +3 over Donald Trump. In the battleground states, of course, including Wisconsin, it is even. In fact, in each of those battleground states, our estimates have very close races. That's why we say overall, this is a tight and close contest. Let me show you how we got here, because it's that change that really is the story. Since Harris became the likely nominee, we have seen an increase in the number of Democrats who say that they're going to vote. That increase in enthusiasm has then in turn moved the polls, and I suspect watching the convention this week, you will see Democrats try to continue to build on that momentum and that excitement that the party, anyway, has shown to date. And that's the reason behind the shift in the polls, Susan.
And speaking of that momentum, where is Vice President Harris picking up steam? Where is she gaining momentum that perhaps President Biden wasn't? And is gender playing a role at all?
That is indeed a big part. So let me show you this gender gap, because it's growing. More women for Harris, more men for Trump. Couple of reasons behind that. One of them is that women tell us that they are more likely to think that Harris will fight for people like them, more so than men. They're more inclined to say Donald Trump will. But on this one key issue, so yeah, that one, on the economy, right? Harris is getting a little more benefit of the doubt from women than Joe Biden was. In fact, among women who say the economy is a major factor, Harris is almost even with Donald Trump among them. So I suspect you watch the convention, if the Democrats are going to try to cut into Donald Trump's advantage on the economy, then it may well start with women voters, guys.
Is Vice President Harris perhaps a better messenger on the economy than President Biden was? The economy and the border, are they still the two primary issues?
Well, the economy and the border are certainly important. Inflation is another one. So let me show you a chart that will lay out one of the things that I think we want to watch in the convention. You mentioned the economy. Donald Trump still has an advantage on that among voters who say it's a major factor. He had one over Joe Biden as well. Inflation, big advantage for Trump here. In fact, a lot of voters, especially Trump voters, feel that if he wins, that prices will go down. A lot of voters have told us in other polls that they have fond memories of how they recall the economy under Donald Trump. That's driving some of those numbers. And certainly on the border, you get a big advantage for Donald Trump. That hasn't changed from Harris to when it was Joe Biden. So all of those are places the Democrats will have to try to make up ground, guys.
And we shall see what happens. Of course, this is a big week. Thank you for talking with us.
Thank you, Anthony. Great talking to you.
Thank you.
Abortion is also still top of mind for many voters. For rank-and-file Democrats, abortion outpaces the economy as a major factor in their vote.
Well, when Live at 4 continues, it's almost time for the main event here at the convention. We'll tell you what's on tap tonight on day one at the DNC.
Day one, here we go. Plus, how security is dealing with the influx of people coming into the city. That's next on Live at 4, live on location from Chicago at the DNC.
Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime. As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border. As vice president, she backed the toughest border control bill in decades. And as president, she will hire thousands more border agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. Fixing the border is tough. So is Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
This is a hallway. Doesn't evoke much feeling. But to those facing cancer or a complex condition, it feels like relief. Because all the doctors, treatments, and technology you've been fighting to find, they're all right here, under one roof, connected by hallways instead of highways. East Park Medical Center, coming soon. UW Health, remarkable.
Okay, guys, we're all here because US Cellular has an incredible deal. Right now, you can get 4 lines for just $90.
Sorry, just double checking. Is it really that good of a deal?
Yeah. It's a huge deal. You also get 4 free phones of your choice.
4 free phones.
Wow, I just triple-checked, and that's awesome.
So go get that deal. Or at least help me clip. Did you check the expiration dates?
Oh, I can do that.
Great.
Get 4 free phones of your choice with no trade-in needed, plus 4 lines for $90.
Hi there. Brad Beasley and my daughter Marlena here for Tundraland.
It's back to school time, and together we can help Wisconsin kids in need.
We call it Bath to Backpack.
With your help, Tundraland will donate 1 backpack filled with school supplies to a local student for every appointment this month.
And for a limited time, you get free installation, no payments for a full year, and free upgraded fixtures.
We all win.
Call 1-800-TUNDRALAND or go to tundraland.com today.
800-TUNDRALAND. Tundraland.com.
I'm Tammy Baldwin. I approve this message.
I'm the proud son of a single mom.
My mom worked nights to provide for us.
My mom worked 80 hours a week.
But Eric Hovde thinks if you have a single mom, you're going to be poor or a drug addict?
That is a direct path to a life of poverty. It leads to higher drug rates.
That just shows Eric Hovde is ignorant.
Come on, I'm successful today because of my mom.
I learned my work ethic from my mom, my single mom.
What is wrong with this guy?
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
Live from Chicago, this is News 3 Now's special coverage of the Democratic National Convention.
Everybody, and welcome back to Live at 4. Brady and I are in Chicago here at the United Center, our home away from home for the next 4 days.
Here we are at the Democratic National Convention right now. We are in the United Center on Media Row where thousands of journalists are around here. You can see people walking behind us, a lot of commotion. And I think what's interesting, it was only a month ago that we were doing the Republican National Convention, and doesn't it feel like we have lived years in the political cycle?
Totally. It has been a completely unprecedented and whirlwind of a summer in politics. And it's brought us here to Chicago. Eric Franke and Charlotte Deleste, by the way, are also with us. They're over at the Lincoln Park Zoo.
Yes.
Enjoying the beautiful skyline of Chicago. We have crews here that will be covering everything all week long related to the DNC. And let's begin with our political reporter who has the best seat in the House. Will Keneally is on the floor in the United Center. Hi, Will.
Well, Susan and Brady, yeah, we're overlooking the best seat in the House. Right behind me is where the Wisconsin delegation will be sitting. As you can see, they're pretty close to the action. It's always a little bit of an interesting gamble bargain of who gets the best seats in the House. Kind of down in the bowl, we see some of the highlights, certainly California, Illinois, the host state here, as well as Minnesota, the home state of Governor Walz, the VP pick here. So we are just getting settled. Doors opened about half an hour ago, and we're seeing a couple Wisconsin delegates trickle in. One of the members of the Wisconsin Elections Commission, Milwaukee lawyer Ann Jacobs, is already here. So we'll see some delegates kind of trickle in throughout the night. The headliner tonight is Joe Biden. So we will again kind of see that transition from the Joe Biden ticket to the Kamala Harris ticket as we see her formally accept her nomination later in the week tonight. We'll continue to provide you on-the-ground coverage here, but for now we'll send it back to you guys on Media Row.
Will, thank you. So now that Wisconsin's 95 delegates are here, it's not only a time for them to rally behind the presidential ticket, but it's also an opportunity to work. A majority of the state's delegates are party leaders and elected officials, including Congressman Mark Pocan and Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway. We caught up with them at the Wisconsin Delegate Breakfast this morning to ask them how they're representing you at the DNC.
Honestly, housing is the top of mind for me because it is the place where we really need help from the federal government. And there's a couple of really specific things that I'm asking folks to do.
I think those biggest issues are kind of those core economic issues, and that is at the center of many ways of the Democratic platform. Trying to create jobs through things like the infrastructure bill, trying to help lower costs like we did with the Inflation Reduction Act around healthcare and energy. Those are the things that people think about every day, not necessarily the horse race of the campaign.
There's a lot of talk among delegates about how this November's election could reshape state politics. They see it as an opportunity to move the Democratic agenda forward. There's heightened security here, of course, in Chicago. Coming into the convention's main halls, we experienced it firsthand ourselves.
Yes, it took a while to get where you need to be, but everybody is understanding about that because everyone wants to be safe. Our Kyle Pozorski spent some time today. He was outside of the security perimeter, and he gives us a look.
The impacts on security were already felt on Friday when the hard perimeter was put into place at both the United Center and McCormick Place. Where I am right now is just a couple blocks to the east of the United Center. We're actually going to whip around and show you what we're looking at here right now outside of the United Center. There is, of course, this hard perimeter put into place. There's called the red zone. As well, there is a yellow kind of softer zone of the security. Either, though, are going to have some interruption to traffic and people trying to get into the convention. If you look behind me, though, there's this black fencing. That's what's called the non-scalable fencing, so that anyone who is not supposed to get in with any weapons or any kind of nefarious acts, they can't get in and disrupt this convention. That's the whole point to doing this, is to lock this down and have the people who are supposed to go in get in. As for right now, here on day one, there are these different checkpoints throughout the perimeters at the United Center and McCormick Place. As for the United Center, here there's different checkpoints for people going in. This is the pedestrian entrance where the delegates and others trying to get in can go through. There's other entrances for people like us in the media, as well as some VIPs. From our perspective, going through security, it was very quick. Maybe less than 5 to 10 minutes going through, getting your bags checked, all of that, just to make sure that you're not bringing in anything that can cause harm to anyone inside of here, anything that's on the list of restricted items. That is really what Secret Service and Homeland Security are trying to make sure they keep out of this convention, of course, in the wake of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Reporting in Chicago, Kyle Pozorski, News 3 Now.
Kyle, thank you very much. And additionally, public safety officials here say that they're changing some roads, opening and closing some roads in and around the perimeter as need be, and that will continue throughout the week.
Yeah, again, it's kind of like Pac-Man. You just loop around.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, at least a few thousand people have gathered to rally in Union Park ahead of a planned protest march in the DNC in a show of solidarity with Palestine and calling for an end to U.S. funding to Israel.
Organizers with the Coalition to March on the Democratic National Convention held a news conference this morning as tens of thousands begin to amass at Union Park for a massive rally and march for Palestine. Speakers from some of the 270 organizations in the coalition addressed their main demand: stand with Palestine, end U.S. aid to Israel, and other demands of the march.
We call on Harris and Walz to deliver on immigration reform in the first 100 days of the new administration. We stand in solidarity with Palestinians for an end to the funding of a genocidal war in Gaza.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Israel has accepted a bridging proposal for a ceasefire and hostage release in Gaza and called on Hamas to do the same. In just over an hour here, the first night of speeches will begin at the DNC. Reverend Jesse Jackson will be honored early in the night. We were wondering if he might have just walked down Media Row because all of a sudden there was a lot of activity.
A lot of security, a lot of cameras.
Yes. You didn't get eyeballs on him, though, did you?
I didn't. I tried. I looked around.
It was somebody important. Hillary Clinton is scheduled to speak tonight at 8:30, and then First Lady Jill Biden will introduce her husband, President Biden. They will be the final speakers to wrap up night one here at the DNC.
And tomorrow, Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will be in the Badger State. Yes, the Harris-Walz campaign will be at Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee. You'll remember that was a site of the RNC. That rally will take place ahead of former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama's speeches here in Chicago. The event is free to the public. And it's not just Democrats campaigning in Wisconsin tomorrow. Republican nominee for Vice President J.D. Vance will be in Kenosha. He'll be holding a news conference on crime and safety at the Kenosha County Courthouse. That's at noon. We will have a crew there for all the action. Well, we had a sunny start to the work week. Let's go back to Madison and get a look at your first warn forecast with meteorologist Jacob Montesano. Jacob?
Yeah, it's very nice here in Madison right now. Very comfortable out here with plenty of sunshine. Looking at the current temperatures, we are right now in the 70s, 77 specifically in Madison, and looking across Dane County, mostly in the middle 70s at this hour. Hard to find conditions better than what we saw today. Now, there are a few locations that are in the lower 80s, and that includes at this hour as well. But we're going to continue to see 70s for the most part tomorrow and really for much of this week. So taking a look at the forecast for the next couple of hours, we are going to remain mostly dry. Can't rule out an isolated sprinkle, especially east of Madison, but the majority of our area is expected to remain dry. And especially as we get closer to midnight, we are going to see any isolated showers that we may see completely fizzle out. Now, as we look at the temperature forecast for this evening, it's going to remain very comfortable. And for the most part, we're going to see partly cloudy skies, 70s until about sunset, and then we are going to drop into the upper 60s pretty quickly. But definitely get out and enjoy the weather this evening if you can. But if you can't today, it's going to be very nice for much of the week. And I'll have the full forecast coming up in a bit later.
Welcome to Oakmont Senior Community in Verona. Active seniors 55 plus will enjoy our new luxury apartments, professionally managed by award-winning Attic Angel Community. Call Demery today for a tour and reserve your place at Oakmont.
Right now, we're running our 60-60-60 sale. So when you purchase your new concrete coating, you get a $60 Visa gift card plus either 60% off installation or 60-month no-interest financing. This is one of our best deals of the year, so visit our website or call the number for your new floor today.
After careful review of medical guidance and research on pain relief, my recommendation is simple. Every home should have Salon Paws. Powerful, yet non-addictive. Targeted and long-lasting. I recommend Salon Paws. It's good medicine.
I became a nurse to make lives better. Today, that's hard to do because of the open border. I've seen firsthand the damage that Kamala Harris caused as our country's borders are. Hospitals everywhere are overwhelmed, and American patients are paying the price. My patients are covering the healthcare costs for people here illegally while their own care is jeopardized. Kamala Harris is weak and dangerous.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
If your windows are leaky and drafty, it's possible they weren't installed properly. Many installers lack proper training, and shoddy installation leaves your home vulnerable to extreme weather. At Next Door & Window, we're reinventing window installation. Our approach ensures your windows are sealed tight and energy efficient. And your windows and doors will be installed by certified experts who treat your home as if it was their own. When you demand tomorrow's comfort, Next delivers. Visit nextwindow.com to learn more.
TDS Fiber Internet makes our home smarter. Working, playing, living, learning. It's all better with TDS Fiber Internet because it's faster, more reliable. It's award-winning internet served up by friendly local folks. It's what keeps us connected. And isn't that what it's all about? Say hello to internet that hits different. Say hello to TDS.
Welcome to Oakmont Senior Community in Verona. Active seniors 55 plus will enjoy our new luxury apartments, professionally managed by award-winning Attic Angel Community. Call Demery today for a tour and reserve your place at Oakmont.
At 5, big changes are coming to Madison's Metro Transit. We'll show you how this could affect your daily commutes.
Overall, we're going to experience very quiet weather moving forward. We'll first see comfortable temperatures, but then a warm-up is on the horizon. More details at 5.
And the Democratic National Convention is in full swing in Chicago. We'll take a look at how this event changed when Vice President Kamala Harris stepped into focus. That's tonight at 6. Just like we did in Milwaukee, we welcome back an old friend to the anchor desk this week. Charlotte DeLeste joining our team once again for our special coverage over the next 4 days. And we are live from the Nature Boardwalk at Chicago's beautiful Lincoln Park Zoo. Charlotte, great to have you back. We picked a good spot for you, too.
We picked a very good spot. Thank you very much. It is wonderful to be back. And just like for the Republican National Convention in July, America is going into this convention already knowing who the nominee on the Democratic ticket will be.
So what processes will actually be carried out this week at this convention? Is it really worth your time tuning in? Well, Arman Rahman spoke to a political expert to find those answers, and he joins us now live with more. Arman?
That's right, Eric and Charlotte, happy to be here. I think we can all agree at this point that this election cycle is anything but traditional this year. An expert tells me while there will be some similarities to July's RNC, this DNC is going to also have some big differences. The Republican National Convention kicked off with about 2,500 delegates voting for former President Trump as the party's nominee. But for the roughly 4,700 Democratic delegates,
it will be a little bit different.
They had to hold their roll call vote for Kamala Harris virtually in August.
Which they had to move up because there were a couple of states like Ohio with deadlines for getting the names of the nominees to the state.
But UW-Madison political scientist Ken Mayer says there's still value in going through the vote again in Chicago.
That can have a pretty significant symbolic effect and kind of go through and maybe not how is the vote, but, you know, how did you vote? What did your delegation do?
Donald Trump and his campaign called out the fact that Vice President Harris was selected without a formal primary election after President Biden stepped down.
Parties have always done things like this.
Mayer says both sides make and modify backup plans for these situations. This is just the first time in a while they had to be used.
The notion that this was somehow illegal, or as Trump put it in his press conference a couple days ago, unconstitutional, you know, that it was a coup or that, I mean, it's just nonsense.
Mayer says the Democratic National Committee also fast-tracked the selection of Tim Walz, forming a complete ticket against Trump and Vance quickly.
When the delegates voted, they said that whoever she selects will be the vice presidential nominee.
So if it'll all be symbolic, then why even watch this week? Mayer says it's to look past the symbolism and exactly what candidates plan to do if elected.
Think about the subtext, because modern conventions are highly scripted. It's worth watching because it gives you a sense of who the people are.
And that ceremonial roll call for Harris is planned to take place tomorrow night. Eric and Charlotte.
Looking forward to it. Great to have a DePaul Blue Demon, a DePaul alum, Chicago area native, right here on our coverage with us this week. Armand, thank you. And still ahead on Live at 4, many big-name speakers are expected to take the stage yet tonight at the United Center for the first night of the DNC.
The director of the Marquette Law School poll, Charles Franklin, will join us. That's coming up next on Live at 4.
Join Dane County Humane Society for the epic rivalry, cat versus dog.
It's the best tailgate in town. Bark and Wine, September 21st. Reserve your place today.
Sanctuary cities protect illegal immigrant criminals from being deported, like an illegal immigrant arrested for battery in Madison. Instead of being deported, he was released and went on to assault several more women, including a 13-year-old girl. Senator Tammy Baldwin voted 9 times to support federal funding for sanctuary cities that release dangerous illegals back onto our streets. And Baldwin voted for amnesty for 11 million illegals, including criminals. Tell Senator Baldwin, stop protecting illegal immigrants and start protecting Wisconsin.
At USA Insulation, we fix hot homes. Over 7 out of 10 homes are poorly insulated. Is yours? Here are some of the signs. Is your house too cold in the winter? Is it too hot in the summer? Does your furnace and AC run almost non-stop? Do you have different temperatures in different rooms? Are your energy bills too high? You don't need a new home. You need better insulation. And right now, when we foam your walls, we'll insulate your attic for free.
USA Insulation.
This is you. And you are why we do what we do. Each and every one of you are wonderful, amazing people. So we'll treat you that way on your journey of trusted care. Because the way you, and you feel matters. Unity Point Health Meritor, a partner of UW Health. Know how much you matter to this world.
Chevy lets you begin every day fully charged, so you can go farther. And so can your money. Tow with confidence. Plus, stay connected with available OnStar technology. For summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Get 1.9% financing on this 2024 Silverado when you finance with GM Financial. Or get $5,750 total value when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in Wisconsin.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
The alarming spike in inflation soaring to its highest level in nearly 40 years.
That is called Bidenomics.
Gas prices rose again today, reaching a new all-time high.
We're still dealing with inflation, and we've got super high interest rates at the same time.
Bidenomics is working.
2/3 of Americans are just struggling to make ends meet.
And this comes after Friday's jobs report showing a spike in unemployment.
And we are very proud of Bidenomics.
Join Dane County Humane Society for the epic rivalry, cat versus dog.
It's the best tailgate in town. Bargain Wine, September 21st. Reserve your place today.
Live from Chicago, this is News 3 Now's special coverage of the Democratic National Convention.
And welcome back to Chicago, live from the Nature Boardwalk here at the beautiful Lincoln Park Zoo.
And with a big week ahead of us, we are so thrilled to be able to bring in Marquette University Law School Poll Director Charles Franklin back in Madison. Charles, great to have you with us.
Good to be here.
Well, Charles, as a political historian, a political scientist, if you will, let's put your professor hat back on for a bit. When you think of Chicago and the Democratic National Convention and the history here, there's some real significance to what happened here in 1968. What are some of your thoughts?
1968 revealed these deep fissures within the party, the divisions between the Johnson and Humphrey party and the Robert Kennedy had been killed at that point, but the McCarthy wing of the party. Those divisions also kind of led to the development of the modern primary system, where instead of backroom deals picking the president, you have the current popular vote through a series of primaries.
Charles, for those who haven't seen recent polling on this, we know Wisconsin is a very crucial battleground state. So what are the numbers looking like now?
Well, our last poll released a couple of weeks ago had it as Trump by 1 with registered voters, but Harris by 1 with likely voters, and Harris by 2 when you included the third-party candidates. This morning's polling average is about a 1-point Harris lead in the state. Very close.
You know, when we left Milwaukee last month, let's be honest, you know, there's always a little momentum coming out of the convention of enthusiasm, but the Republicans at that point were riding a massive wave of it. Have you seen anything like this with the change of momentum that quickly?
No, it's been a very dramatic shift in momentum. In fact, in the polling after the Republican convention, but before the day Biden dropped out, Trump was leading in average polls in Wisconsin by 4 percentage points. Then that reversed very rapidly when Harris got in the race. And we saw Democratic enthusiasm shoot up 20 points. Republican enthusiasm went up by 7, showing their convention bounce. But the Democrats made up most of the gap between their low enthusiasm all year and Republican enthusiasm.
Charles, this is so unconventional, the way things have happened so far, and with the change atop the Democratic ticket, how does that change the process when it comes to polling, if it does at all?
Well, it's been a challenge to keep up with the changing names and the candidates. Right now, I think with the public still getting to know Tim Walz as the vice presidential candidate, and for that matter, still getting to know more about Kamala Harris, I think this is a convention where it's more important than usual for voters to hear what the candidates are saying, learn what issues they're emphasizing and what they think they'll do about them. And that will be, I think, a real driver of attention to the campaign the convention this week.
Well, Charles, we're down to 78 days, 11 weeks from tomorrow. It's already Election Day. We know how quickly that goes. And what are some of the key things you're looking for, some of these voting trends, maybe what you're going to look for in this final stretch run? And I know you've got, I don't know what your schedule is for your polling that you have planned in the near term.
Well, 3 more polls coming up between now and Election Day, so we'll be pretty busy with those. I'm continuing to monitor the issues. Who do you think is better on a set of 7 or 8 issues that both campaigns have been talking about all year? Is there much movement on that? There looked like there was a little movement since the RNC, but it's not upside down. But how people perceive the candidates, that is shifting. Harris is perceived quite differently than Biden. So those are things to pay attention to. And finally, what groups seem to be really on the fence for how they'll vote? We'll watch that all the way to Election Day.
All right, always great to have you with us, Charles. We really appreciate your insight, and we look forward to the numbers that you provide for us in the weeks ahead.
Thank you.
Well, it is a sunny and comfortable, a little breezy here in the Windy City, but it is a great start to the work week. What can we expect for the rest of the week? Well, meteorologist Jacob Madison joins us more with his first warn forecast.
Thanks, Eric. We can expect much of the same of what we're seeing right now. Comfortable temperatures and plenty of sunshine. It is going to remain mild, but by next weekend, those temperatures are going to warm up a bit, and also the humidity values will increase a bit. So we could be seeing heat index values back in the 90s, but this week and next weekend, we are going to see very little precipitation. So starting with the precipitation, looking at the precip chances each day and night, we are going to remain mainly dry for pretty much all day and all night. A slight chance of some rain by the time we get to Thursday night and Friday, and also during the day on Saturday and Sunday. But looking at the total precipitation over the next 7 days, we're going to struggle to get to 1/10 of an inch of rain in southern Wisconsin, and that's the case for down south in Chicago as well. Now looking at the temperatures, tonight is going to be a little bit of a chilly night. We'll see lows dropping into the 50s, and then for tomorrow we are going to see temperatures continue to fall a little bit in terms of the afternoon highs, but we still are going to be very, very comfortable. Highs will be in the 70s, partly sunny to mostly sunny skies, and then we're going to continue to see comfortable temperatures for the rest of the work week. But notice those temperatures by the time we get to the weekend, they're going to be up into the middle and upper 80s, and the humidity values will also be pretty high, so we could be seeing some heat index values in the 90s. So here's a look at the muggy meter. Very comfortable through Thursday. By the time we get to Friday, it'll start to increase a bit, but it's really going to start to increase by the time we get to Saturday, and we'll kind of be at that humid level where the dew points could be approaching 70, but possibly staying below that. So heat index values could creep up to around 90, but actual temperatures should stay in the 80s, at least for here in Madison, where the humidity values will be a bit higher. Other locations could definitely hit 90 at some point. Now, looking overall at the 10-day forecast, after the warm stint over the weekend and early next week, the temperatures will slowly begin to fall a little bit throughout next week. We do have another chance of some rain by Thursday, but until then, we're going to be very, very dry. Just a few small chances of rainfall that likely won't amount to much, just some brief isolated showers and storms. But beyond that, expect dry conditions with changing temperatures, but overall the temperatures aren't going to change dramatically. They're just going to be a little bit warmer by the time we get to the weekend.
She grew up in a middle-class home. She was the daughter of a working mom, and she worked at McDonald's while she got her degree. Kamala Harris knows what it's like to be middle-class. It's why she's determined to lower healthcare costs and make housing more affordable. Donald Trump has no plan to help the middle class, just more tax cuts for billionaires. Being president is about who you fight for, and she's fighting for people like you.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Start your landscaping project today and get an 11% rebate on everything. Now at Menards. We're your destination for concrete landscaping blocks. We have the largest in-stock selection ready for you to take home today. Plus, get free estimates fast using our easy do-it-yourself landscape design program in-store or on Menards.com. Get this Lakestone patio block for only $2.99 each after 11% rebate.
Save big money at Menards.
Empire's quality and customer service were absolutely amazing. The installers were so conscientious. I have and I will continue to recommend Empire.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. I became a nurse to make lives better. Today, that's hard to do because of the open border. I've seen firsthand the damage that Kamala Harris caused as our country's borders are. Hospitals everywhere are overwhelmed, and American patients are paying the price. My patients are covering the healthcare costs for people here illegally. while their own care is jeopardized. Kamala Harris is weak and dangerous.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
We couldn't miss this opportunity, this historic opportunity to advocate for justice, to advocate for equality and the end of an apartheid regime in Palestine.
It is the first day of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. There are Madison protesters here. We'll get their thoughts coming up. News 3 Now brings you team coverage from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. We'll talk to delegates about the issues that matter right here in Wisconsin. Campaign 2024 DNC coverage live from Chicago. All this week on News 3 Now. I'm on this disconnected. Well, take a look at this. We are, of course, at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, and we are obviously not the only news station that is here this week.
Really? All eyes are on Chicago this week as stations from all across the country and really the world over. They are all here for the DNC. Crews from ABC 7 in Los Angeles, the British Broadcasting Corporation, or known as the BBC from London, England, and the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, or CBC, from Toronto, Canada, are just some of the hundreds of news stations that are right here in the Windy City.
A lot of cover. We saw a lot of this last month in Milwaukee, too. We had stations set up from, there were a lot of Scandinavian stations there, Russian stations.
It was Russia, Germany.
All over.
It was a true
These
melting pot.
These are truly world news events. We'll be right back.
Before she was the most liberal U.S. senator, Kamala Harris was the liberal San Francisco prosecutor, the most progressive in all of California. She let an MS-13 gang member go, who then murdered a father and his 2 sons. She agreed to release another felon, who then committed murder. And Kamala even protected illegal alien drug dealers so they could escape deportation. Kamala Harris, a dangerous San Francisco liberal. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Nobody wants to put a new roof over their head. It's too expensive. And if they can extend the life of that roof and get 5 more years or 10 more years, it's a no-brainer.
What RoofMax does is it helps people in that they don't have to spend that $15,000, $20,000 on a new roof. They can spend pennies on the dollar.
The RoofMax product was a small percentage of cost of replacing a roof.
This is a great financial decision for us as a community.
I need help for my mom. She has dementia. She's been to the ER twice this week. I just want her to be comfortable in the time she has left. I want a Grace, so Mom can get care at home, in a place she knows. You know what people say about them? I can't imagine better support through such a painful time. As a caregiver, that's what I needed to hear. Call a Grace and find out for yourself. A Grace, authentic care and connection. Visit agrace.org to learn how a Grace can connect with you.
Everyone knows kids are messy, especially in the summertime. Back to school. Your home isn't clean until it's Stanley Steamer Clean.
She grew up in a middle-class home. She was the daughter of a working mom, and she worked at McDonald's while she got her degree. Kamala Harris knows what it's like to be middle class. It's why she's determined to lower healthcare costs and make housing more affordable. Donald Trump has no plan to help the middle class, just more tax cuts for billionaires. Being president is about